Hello everyone, this is Miss Powell and I'm here to talk you through one of your exciting options for your GCSE choices next year, which is Media Studies at SWR. So some of this content is very likely to be a bit familiar to you because we do touch on media studies and some film studies in our English lessons, but there's a lot that's new and I hope this will give you some information so you can make a good informed choice for next year. So one of the things I want to start with is perhaps a bit of a misconception that media studies is just sitting in lessons and watching films. Yes, film is involved, but this course covers all forms of media, and the exciting part of that is it gives you a taster into all of those different media forms and texts. So you can see on this slide some of the key questions you'll be covering over the 2 years. We look at ideas of representation in terms of gender and age and ethnicity in different media texts. We look at advertising and how it's shaped to have an impact on an audience, as well as the ethics around that. We look at technical codes like camera shots and angles and how they're used to impact an audience. We look at the music industry, we look at social media, newspapers, radio, every different media type you can think of. So you can start to explore how the world around us is shaped by media communication. So with that in mind, I'll just talk a little bit about the comment from EDUCAS, which is the exam board we study with. And I think this shows just how relevant a subject GCSE media studies is for everyone. We know that the media plays a central role in our society and culture, but perhaps we don't know just how influential they are on the way we see the world around us. So studying this GCSE will give you access to critique and question the way that our world is represented and the type of messages that are given to different audiences to shape their understanding of life and the world around them. So what kind of things will you study? Well, your course will cover all of these different aspects of the media. I've talked about representation, and that will underpin a lot of what we discuss in class, the idea of what codes and conventions a media text is communicating with us. But we'll do a little bit of research into media industries and the companies behind these products and the contexts in which they were shaped. So some of the texts you look at will have been produced post-war. We have a 1970s James Bond poster, and as you can imagine, that looks very different to what we see today. We'll look at some of those technical codes. You can see some representations of camera shots here, and also audiences and how all of the media communicates to a very particular part of an audience in a certain way. This list of bullet points here reminds you about the diversity of the course because again, there's film, but also advertising and marketing, magazines, music videos, online media, newspapers, radio, television, and even video games. We cover all of these across the 2-year GCSE. So let's have a little look at how the course is broken down in terms of your components or your units. Well, you will be studying all of those things from the previous slide through a range of set texts. So component 1 means your examination 1, okay, your first exam of 2. And on that exam, you will be answering questions on these different media forms. And what that will look like in practice is studying this range of set texts here. So you will get to know these 2 advertisements really well, these 2 magazine front covers, these James Bond posters and these newspaper front pages, as well as a very well-known radio show and a video game as well. So when you go into your first exam, you will be facing some content that you know really well from your studies over those 2 years. On your second exam, you'll be faced with some audio-visual content. So you will study a television show over your 2 years. It could be a crime drama or a sitcom. You'll also get to know a certain music artist very well and understand their production behind the music videos they create and their online presence. So if we have a look at how that breaks down, by the end of the course, you will face 3 forms of assessment. So the 2 exams I've just briefly outlined. This one worth 40% because you will go in there and be faced with some of the content you've studied, such as those adverts or posters. And this second exam where you've got the questions on the audiovisual content. And then the third part of your GCSE, 30% of it is made up of a coursework project or an NEA, non-exam assessed project. And in this project, you will produce your own media text, showing your awareness of audience and different codes and conventions you can use. So there's a really creative side to the course as well, and something that's great news for those of you who know that you do better, perhaps in coursework ahead of exam assessment. So this slide just breaks down those exams again for you, so you could pause here and have a look at those details. But I'd like to also mention generally the type of student who might enjoy this course. There really is something for everyone. We do analytical and critical thinking work when we look at these set texts, but this is a subject that also promotes creativity and imagination as well. So a list of skills that are key to our GCSE, and also some links here to show just how versatile the subject is. It links and overlaps with many other subjects, and as we've already established, the media provides many jobs. So my last 2 slides here, I'm just going to take you back to hopefully some of your Year 9 English lessons these last couple of weeks, where you've had a little taster of media studies using Jumanji, the 2 films from the franchise, to give you an example of what a media studies lesson will look like. And again, typical lessons will revolve around looking at a media product and annotating that product with our analytical readings. We'll have lots of discussions around those media texts and the world from which they were produced. You'll have a glossary where you'll be recording key terms and theories for media studies. There will be bits of watching films and accompanying material that goes with the media text we're studying. You might have some lessons where you research a topic or wider context. You will, of course, be practicing some written responses to exam questions. There's lots of opportunities for group work, so where you might research a topic or present your findings as a group on a media product. And then some lesson time spent being creative as well and looking at what kind of productions you can come up with from your newfound knowledge. So finally, I'm going to hand over to some of our current students, and here are some quotations from them in terms of what they've enjoyed so far this year in media studies. We've got lots of comments on the range of what we study, and lots of positivity around how this is a course that helps shape your perspective on the world around you. So I hope that gives you a little insight into the excitement that GCSE Media Studies can offer you and the type of course it is. But please do come and have a chat further if you'd like more details. For any students, I'm based in C1, or there's my email address there for any contact. Good luck with your decision.